So welcome again, and I'm glad to be back teaching you some English. And we know that what you've done so far with when I wasn't here, that you've been talking about places, you've been talking about things that you owe, possessions. And today we are going to be talking about our free time activities, our hobbies. So what do we enjoy doing when we have free time? Where do we like to go? What do we like to do? Free time. So free time means when I am not working, when I am not studying, it is free time, time that I can do anything I want, whatever I enjoy, free time, okay, or activities. So let's make sure that we know how to tell people what do we like to do or what do we love to do in our free time. Okay, but first let's look at the grammar. So we're talking about your free time activities. So you can use the verb go, and then you can say the activity, but it must have an ing. So for example, I go walking, I go hiking, I go running, I go swimming. Okay, so you can use the verb go, and then you say the activity, but the activity must have an ing. So this is one way to say, what do you do? I go swimming, I go hiking, I go fishing, I go whatever activity. You can also use the verb play and then put the activity. If it's a sports, if it's an instrument, a music instrument, or if it's games. So for example, I play soccer. I play tennis. I play the piano. I play Mario's, or I play whatever game, video game. Okay, so if you play a sport, or you play an instrument, or you play a game, a video game, you have to use the verb go before the activity. Now, you can also use the verb do when you talk about an activity that you use your body. So for example, I do yoga, I do taekwondo, I do karate. So when I'm using my body in an activity, we say do. I do yoga, I do meditation, I do kickboxing, okay? Now, another one is we say go to when we talk about a place. So for example, in my free time, I go to the beach. I go to the restaurants. I go to the cinemas. I go to the movies. Okay, so when we're talking about a place, I go to the hills. I go to the markets. Okay, so when we're talking about a place, we use the verb go to and then the place. Now, we can also use the verb watch when we talk about an activity and it's not with your body. So watch means like we're seeing it. So I like watching soccer. I like watching films. I like watching Netflix in my free time. I like watching, you can say the name of the show. I like watching whatever the show is. So we use the verb watch when we talk about an activity, something that we're looking at. Okay, so these are some ways how we can talk about our free time. What do we do when we have free time? So here are some examples. Go hiking, go fishing, go swimming, go shopping. Play golf, play soccer. I like playing video games, playing the piano, play the guitar. I do taekwondo, yoga, Pilates, shopping. I watch films. I watch movies. I watch series. I watch Netflix. I go to the gym. I go to the cinema. I go to the park. I go to the beach. Now, if you're seeing your friends, you could say, in my free time, I meet up or I catch up. They're both the same ones that you can use. You can say, I meet up or I catch up with my friends. In my free time, I meet up with my friends. Okay, so let's do some exercise from our textbook. So we can see that free time. We can see a picture here and it says early morning at Snoqualmie Falls, Washington, USA. So in America, and it looks like there are two people and they are fishing. Do you agree? They are fishing? Okay, that's a free time activity, a hobby. So let's listen to a conversation and we're going to see what does person one do in their free time? When do they do it? With who do they do the free activity, the free time activity? And why? Okay, so we're going to listen to a conversation with three people talking about their free time activity. Okay, so let's listen and answer number 2. Okay, so now we heard the conversation. So we have person 1 likes to go shopping. Okay, so they like to go shopping. They like to buy clothes. They like to buy shoes, jewelry, whatever, shopping. When do they go shopping? Every Saturday. And with who? They go with friends. And why? Because it's fun. They enjoy it. It's fun. Person 2 goes to the gym. So they, in their free time, they go to the gym. When? 3 times a week. With who? On their own. And why? Because it's good for you. If you go to the gym, it's good for your body. It's good for your mind. It's good for your health. So it's good for you to go to the gym. Person 3, that's the one that we saw the picture. So they go fishing. When? Early in the morning. So very, very early in the morning. And with who? With my brother. So the picture is brothers. They are 2 people. They are brothers. And why? It's very relaxing. So that means it's nice. It's relaxing. They feel good. You know, they can just relax. They don't have to do much. It's just very nice, relaxing. Okay, so let's think about our free time activities. So this is an example. So Julian said, I enjoy running. When? He says 4 times a week. So that's a lot, 4 times a week. And with who? Julian says, I go with a friend. And why? Julian says, I enjoy it because it gives me energy. Okay, this is just an example. Now, Clayton is going to tell you about his free time activity. So Clayton says, I enjoy playing video games with my friends on the weekend. I do it once or twice a week because it's fun. Okay, so that was just some examples of what Julian likes to do in his free time and what Clayton likes to do in his free time. And they told us when and why do they do it. So you're going to talk about your hobbies, your interests, or your free time activities. So let's have a look at some examples first. It's always the best to see some examples. So we've got lots and lots of comments here. So Solange said, I don't have much free time, but to be honest, when that happens, it depends on my mood. If I'm not feeling well, I prefer to stay at home, lying down, watching a good movie away from the hustle and bustle of people. If I'm excited, I like to go for a walk. If it's hot, I like to go to the beach because I like to contemplate the immensity of the sea and sunbathe. Stefania says, in my free time, I like to talk with my family, sleep, watch the TV. In my free time, I like talking with my family, sleeping, watching TV, making food, cleaning the house, and reading the news. I do these things because I enjoy the silence of my home. Angeli says, some of my favorite hobbies are painting and drawing, doing crafts and watching the sunsets. I usually paint and draw by myself as it gives me a feeling of creativity and catch the sunset with friends when we're out. George says, in my free time, I like to play soccer at exactly 9 o'clock every Saturdays. I play with my friends and I enjoy it because it takes me out of my daily routine. Min says, I don't have a lot of free time these days, but when I do, I will go shopping with my daughter because she gets excited to see new toys and that makes me happy. Victor says, I like running either alone or with someone. I do it on the weekends or when it's possible during the work week. I run because it's very good for my physical and mental health. Yanis says, in the little free time that I get, I cook, prepare meals for my home, country, go for walks and watch the sunsets. Brian, I like listening to music every day. I do it alone or with friends because it is very relaxing. Javiera, in my free time, I like to cook. I usually enjoy it the most when I do it with my friends. I also enjoy going to the beach, especially in the morning as the silence of the quiet waves relaxes me. And I like hiking up the mountain with my brother as it's nice to enjoy his company with fresh air and exercise. Clayton, in my free time, I take pictures of the city and make videos that I've taken and share with my family on our WhatsApp group. I also like playing video games on the weekend. Shirley, I enjoy going anywhere in my free time, but in particular, I like going to the beach. If I'm at home, then I like to cook and experiment with recipes. Adriano, in my free time, I like to go to the beach with my friends and housemates. I live nearby, so I go there 2 to 3 times a week or when there is a holiday. Juanita, my hobby is dancing. Sometimes I dance with Oscar or by myself. I usually do it in my free time once or twice a week. I like to dance because for me, it is very relaxing and it brings me happiness. And I like that she has the emoji. Lewis, in my free time in Australia, I like to go to the gym and cook. And when I have time in the afternoons, I go to the beach to see the sunsets. I feel that it relaxes me a lot. Franco, in my free time, I like to read. I do it every day at night. It is a free time that I use to keep updated about world news. I read because the topics interest me. Sebastian, in my free time, I like to play soccer every Saturdays with friends. I enjoy it because it's good for my health. Eduardo, my hobbies are listening to music and watching films and series. I also enjoy learning English so that I can travel the world. Oscar, in my free time, I like to watch movies because it relaxes and distracts me from work. Amalaris, sorry. Okay, so I will now give you some time to write about your free time activities. So try and write as much information. Why do you enjoy it? With who? When do you do it? Okay, so you can tell me about your free time activities. So the title of this article is called 100% Identical. That means exactly the same. 100% the same. So let's read together so that we can practice our English. So I'll read first and then you will read after me. Okay, so the title is 100% Identical. So you want to repeat? Yeah, so 100% identical. Identical twins have the same eyes and the same hair. But do they like doing the same things? What do they do in their free time? The Mulgray twins. Mona and Helen Mulgray are 77 years old. They love books and they write crime books together. They live in the same house and they like the same free time activities. They like gardening, and on the weekend, they go walking together. The Kit twins. Camille and Kennelly Kit are musicians and actors. They both play the same musical instrument, the harp. They do taekwondo and they like swimming together, of course. The Phelps twins. James and Oliver Phelps are actors. They are famous as the identical twins in the Harry Potter films. In their free time, they love playing golf and playing computer games. They like football, but they don't like the same teams. Oliver is a fan of Aston Villa, and James is a fan of Birmingham City. So you remember in the beginning of the lesson, I told you how to create a sentence to talk about your free time activity. So we have to use a verb before the activity. So if we look at this again, number 1, so we're on number 4. We go 1E, we go swimming. So we go swimming. Remember, when you have an activity, you must put an ing when you use the verb go. You go swimming, you go dancing, you go running. So we go swimming. Number 2, play golf. Yes, when we talk about sports, we use the verb go, play. We play sports. We play golf. Number 3, we do taekwondo. Yes, so when we're using our body in the activity, we say do. We do yoga, we do taekwondo, we do karate. Number 4, play video games. So anytime we're talking about games, if it's a video game, if it's a sporting game, we say play. So yes, we play computer games. 5, we watch films. So remember, watch is like looking. So if you're looking at something, you're watching something. You're watching a film. Number 6, play a musical instrument. So remember, we use the verb play when we talk about the instrument. So if it's I play the piano, I play the violin, I play the guitar, I play the the musical instrument. Number 7, go to the gym. Yeah. So when we talk about a place, if we go to the beach, we go to the cinema, or we go to the gym, it's a place, so we must use go to. And number 4, we meet friends. I think like what Mia was saying, she meets her friends at the cafe. Okay, so we use meet when we're talking about people. So meet, and then plus, you could say if you're meeting your friends, or you're meeting your husband or your boyfriend. So we use the word meet, that verb, when we talk about the people. Who do we meet? Okay, so let's look at this way of talking about what we like doing. So this is how we ask a question to someone about their free time activities. We say, do you like to, and then you put the activity. So for example, do you like to go shopping? Do you like to go hiking? Do you like to go swimming? Do you like to do taekwondo? Do you like to play the piano? Okay, so this is how I ask someone, do you like? So we use the verb like because it means like, do you enjoy? Do you like? So we use the verb do, which comes from the present simple. So I'm asking someone now in this moment, what do they like to do? So when we speak about activities, we can say we have a subject. So maybe you're talking about I, or as Lucy said, my husband and I like, and then you said climbing the mountain. Okay, so the subject could be I like watching movies. I love swimming. Now, love is just more strong. So you like, but if you want to say love, it just means so, so, so much. So I love swimming. I like walking, but because I like swimming more, I'm going to say I love. So you can say I like or I love. Remember, love is just a strong feeling, much more strong. Now, you can also say I like or love, and then it could be a noun. So, for example, I like soccer. I like tennis. I like movies. Now, if it's a negative, you're going to say don't. So I don't, or maybe you don't. But if it's he, she, or it as the subject, then I say, if I'm talking about my friend, she doesn't like running. Or I don't like running. I don't like going to the theater alone. I don't like going shopping. I don't like yoga. Okay, so it's a negative. It means you do not enjoy. I don't like, and then the activity. Again, if you want to ask a question, just like I said before, do you like yoga? Do you like swimming? But if I'm asking about she or he, then I say, oh, does your friend like running? Does your sister like watching the movies? Does your husband like swimming? Okay, so remember, does is when I'm asking about he or she, someone else. But I say do when I say you. Do you like playing tennis? Okay, so here are some examples. I like planting flowers, vegetables, and fruits. I love going hiking. I love hiking. I like reading a book. Or I like reading the newspaper. I like listening to music. Or you could say, I like listening to podcasts. I love eating rice and chicken. Or you could say, I love eating out. So that means when you go to the restaurants, I like eating, if you want, you could say, I like eating at restaurants. Or cafes, I like eating at cafes. Or just as I said, I love eating out. That means outside of your home. Could be restaurant, cafe, doesn't matter. I like eating out. I love cooking. Okay, I love cooking. Or you could say the name of the meal. I love chicken fried rice. I love stir fry. I love baking. Now, baking is if you're making a cake or a sweet, anything in the oven that's for a sweet. I love doing a barbecue. Or we say, I love having a barbecue. As Mia says, I like meeting, or you can say catching up with friends. So catching up with my friends. So again, you can choose whichever verb you want. I like meeting up with my friends, or I like catching up with my friends. I like riding a bike. Okay, I like riding a bike. I love traveling. I love catching up on sleep. Or I love taking a nap. I love taking a nap. I like surfing the internet. Or we could say I like going on Google. I like going on Google, or I like Googling information. And you can say about and then the topic. So I like Googling information about the world news or about something. Okay, so there's some examples. So remember, when you say I like or I love, make sure the activity is with an ing. I like swimming. I like dancing. I like hiking. I like mountain climbing. I love reading. Okay, so make sure ing is attached to the activity. So in number 7, the 3 sentences that have like or love, they love books. They don't like the same football teams. She likes swimming. Let's go. Hey, Angela, how are you? Good. Yes. Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yesterday though, I was very dizzy. And I thought I was gonna tell you I can't come today. I slept and I was maybe 12 hours just in the bed before when I returned. And then I feel good. I woke up. It's never easy. It's never easy. But this time I'm better. But how's everything here? It's good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be back. And I hope to see, more students. So hopefully, yeah. I know Henry, he's coming back. Yeah. So okay. That's okay. Good to see you. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next part. Free time in the Arctic. So talking more about our free time activities. We have this image here. So free time in the Arctic. So the Arctic is on top of the world. Okay, it's ice, it's cold. Let's have a look at some of these activities. We talked about we like to do online shopping. So tick which one do you like? So I like to do online shopping. Do you like to go for a walk? I do. You like to go for a walk? Do you like to have coffee? I love to have coffee. Do you like making phone calls? Yeah, maybe to your friends, to your family at home. Do you like playing online games? For me, not really. No, no. Do you like reading a book? For me, yes. I wish I have more time to read a book. Do you like browsing the internet? Yeah, there's always lots of information and stuff to do online. Texting friends, using social media like Facebook, Instagram. Yes, I think a lot of us like to spend too much time on social media. Do you like watching videos? Maybe on YouTube, or just videos that your friends send you? Okay, so what 2 activities do you do every day? And if you don't do an activity, you say never. So I never, let's write these down. So if you don't do an activity, so we know we have the subject, and then we say never, and then whatever that activity is, this is how we make that sentence. It's similar to saying I don't like. You could say I never go surfing. I never go skiing. Okay, so never. We need to add this word after the subject. Or you could say we, if I'm talking about my husband and I. We never go to the movies. Maybe you never go to the movies. Or we never go out. Okay, so that's another way to say I don't like, but this is just we never. I never go shopping. I never go online shopping. Okay, so we have a photo. We're going to listen to a conversation about this man. Now we can see he has a camera and it looks like he's in the Arctic. So remember, the Arctic is a cold place that's on top of the world. So let's listen to a short conversation with this man. So his name is Norbert Rosing. And we're going to listen to a documentary about him. And we're going to answer the questions. Number 4. Okay, so let's listen to the conversation, a documentary about this man. His name is Norbert Rosing. And let's see what we can understand from the conversation. Okay, so question 4.
Track 41, Unit 4B. Norbert Rosing's photos of animals are famous. His photos are often in the National Geographic magazine or on the website. A lot of his photos are of polar bears in the Arctic. Norbert goes to the Arctic once a year, and he always goes in the summer. He's sometimes there for a few weeks, and sometimes for a few months. He likes the Arctic because there aren't many people, and it's one of the last places in the world with no roads. He usually goes by snowmobile and by boat. Between August and November, you can see polar bears every day. Also, in the summer, the sun shines 24 hours a day in the Arctic. Wherever can work. In fact, he takes the best photos at night. He doesn't often work during the day, so he has a lot of free time. He never sleeps at night, so he sleeps for part of the day. Then he reads a book, plays computer games, or goes for a walk. He's not often bored.
Adverbs of frequency. So before we were talking about our hobbies and our free time activities, we said what we like to do and what we love to do. But we want to know how often. So this means when do you do your activity? When? So it's called in English adverbs of frequency. And we use words like always, never, sometimes, occasionally, usually, often, quite often, rarely, hardly, not often, regularly, frequently, generally, every day, almost every day. Okay, these are just some examples of adverbs. So I can add, not just saying I like swimming, but I could say when, or how often. I always swim every week. I sometimes run. I occasionally go to the cinemas. I usually go hiking. Okay, so we need to add these words. So we have a subject, so it could be I, or in Lucy, she would say my husband and I, maybe, if she's talking about, her and her husband. So we put the subject first, and then we put the adverb of frequency, and then the activity. So this is how we create the sentence. So as I said, I always go swimming. Okay, I never go bike riding. I generally go for walks. I regularly watch movies. Okay, so we're not just saying what activity we're doing, but we're saying how often, when, is it always, is it never, sometimes, rarely, occasionally. So now we're adding more information to our hobby, to telling someone about our hobby, not just saying I like swimming, but I always go swimming every week. Okay, very different sentences, not just I like swimming, but I always go swimming every week. So let's have a look at some of these sentences. Number 6, Norbert's photos are often in the National Geographic magazine. Okay, that means often, not always and not sometimes, but in the audio that we just heard, his photos are often in the National Geographic. So he goes to the Arctic once a year and he always goes in summer. He's sometimes there for a few weeks. He usually goes by snowmobile and by boat. He never sleeps at night, so he sleeps for part of the day. He's not often bored. Okay, so as I said, these adverbs, we put them after the subject, before the verb. So in the middle of the subject and the verb. So the adverbs of frequency come after the verb to be. So these are examples like, I am always tired. I am sometimes hungry. I am never late for my meetings. I am always happy. Okay, so these adverbs, we have the verb to be. Remember, the verb to be is am, is, or are. So I am, you are, he is, she is, we are, they are. And number 2, do they come before other verbs? They come before. So if you look here, we have a subject. So it could be I, you, he, she, it, we, they. So I always, I sometimes, I usually, I occasionally, I regularly, I frequently, and then whatever the activity is. So for example, I always swim. I sometimes speak to my grandparents. I always use social media. I regularly watch movies. Now, if we have a negative, remember we use never. So I never go hiking. Or you could say I don't ever, or I definitely don't go swimming. Or I definitely don't play an instrument. Or I don't really play an instrument. Or you could say, I don't often go for a walk. I don't often go to the movies. Okay, so that's how we make a negative. We use never, but there are some other words that we could say. And when we ask a question, now remember, it's different to asking, do you like hiking? Do you like watching a movie? We now want to know, how often do you go swimming? How often do you go mountain climbing? So remember, how often means like when, always, sometimes, never, occasionally. So when I ask someone a question, I say, how often? Because I'm not asking them, do you like swimming? Do you enjoy going to the cinema? I'm asking, how often? I want to know, always, sometimes, never, occasionally, once a week, every day. How often do you go to the gym? Yeah. How often do you go to the beach? How often do you go for dinner at a restaurant? Okay, and the answer would be I always, whatever the activity is. I sometimes go to the movies. I never have time to do that activity. Okay, so we can use time phrases like once a week, or, as Curly said, on the weekends, in the evenings. So we can also put like, I always go to the beach. And then as Curly said, on the weekends. So you can add more information to your sentence by making sure you follow this structure. So start with the subject, I, or it could be my friends and I, my husband and I, my sister and I, my dog and I. You can talk about your pet, okay? And then put the adverb, I always, I sometimes, I occasionally, I regularly. Talk about the activity, go to the movies, watch soccer, play an instrument, whatever. And then once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, on Sundays. Okay, so in number 9, we're going to add some adverbs to these sentences. So I work 8 hours a day. So we could say, I never work 8 hours a day. Or is it for you, I sometimes work 8 hours a day? What is a true sentence for you? So you need to add an adverb. So I'm going to write, so this is question 9. I never work, or maybe I sometimes, let's put, I sometimes work 8 hours a day. Number 2, I'm late for school. Are you always late for school? Or I'm never late for school. Okay, so you need to add whichever adverb is true for you. I'm always late for school. I'm sometimes late for school. I'm always never late. Okay, so you put the adverb that is true for you. I have a long lunch break. Maybe I always have a long lunch break. Or maybe you never have a lunch break. So remember the adverb, subject first and then the adverb. I leave home early in the morning. I sometimes, or I usually leave home early in the morning. I always, or I occasionally, not always, but I occasionally travel to other countries for my holidays. Okay, or whatever, maybe you never travel to other countries, or maybe you always. And I play video games late at night. For me, I never play video games late at night. So again, if the sentence for you is I always, or maybe I sometimes play video games late at night, or I don't play video games, or I never. Okay, so now we added these adverbs of frequency to our activity, to telling someone how often we do the activity. So let's have a look at number 10. What two words start a question about frequency? We know it's how often. That's how we start the sentence. How often do you go swimming? How often do you go walking? Where do expressions of frequency usually go in a sentence? They go before the verb, the action, but they can also go after. So number 11, I go to the gym on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So if I want to change that sentence, I want to ask a question. How often do you go to the gym? And someone says, I go to the gym on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. They can also say, I go to the gym 3 times a week. Okay, so I go to the gym 3 times a week. For number 11, 3 times a week. Number 2, my family goes on holiday in April and in September. So that means they go twice a year. That means 2 times in a year. So my family goes on holiday twice a year. Number 3, I read all my emails at 6 o'clock in the evening. So I read all my emails every day, or every evening, or once a day. We visit my cousins in the summer, or you could say we visit my cousins once a year, or every year, because it's only one time. So every year or once a year. I drink a cup of coffee with breakfast at 11 and after lunch. So that means I drink a cup of coffee 3 times a day, because with breakfast at 11 and after lunch, that's 3 times. Number 6, I meet my old school friends on the first day of the month, or you could say every month. So some of these words, so if it's 1 time a week, we have to say once a week. I go to the gym once a week. I play video games once a week. If it's 2 times in the week, we say twice a week. Okay, I go to the movies twice a week. I play the piano twice a week. If it's 3 times a week, then you say 3 times a week. You use the number. So you use the same sentence 3 times a week. But it's only for this one. We don't say 1 time a week or 2 times a week. We say once a week, twice a week. So number 13, Okay, so here are some more examples when we ask someone, remember how often. So how often do you go to the cinemas? Someone could say hardly ever, or always, or not often. How often do you take a holiday? How often do you go to the beach? How often do you go out? How often do you work from home? How often do you get a new computer? Or do you get a new phone? That's very common. A lot of people say, how often do you get a new phone? How often do you practice English? That's a good question, yeah, to ask someone that's learning English. How often do you go on holidays? How often do you and your family play sports together? How often do you travel for work? Maybe by car? How often does she read a book? How often do you drink soft drinks? How often do you catch up on sleep? How often does your friend listen to podcasts? How often do you go to the markets? That's a good question. How often do you buy a new phone? So I'll put this one. How often do you stay up late at night? How often do you eat meat? How often do you go to the gym? Okay, and when you want to return the question to someone, so if someone asked you how often, you can then say, and how about you? So we don't need to repeat. If I said to you, how often do you go for a walk? And you said twice a week, you don't need to ask the other person, and how often do you go for a walk? You can just say, and how about you? Okay, so when I want to return the question to the person, I don't need to repeat the activity. I could say, and how about you? Okay, so that's what we had for now until after the break. So let's talk about what we did. If you remember, we were talking about our free time activities. So what do we do when we are not working, when we are not studying? It's called your free time, your hobby. So make sure you know which verb to add to the different activity. Okay, we say go swimming, we play soccer, we play the piano, we do yoga, we go to the beach, we watch a movie, we meet friends. Okay, then we know how to ask someone, do you like? Or you could say, I like swimming. I love going to the movies. We know how to make a negative sentence. I don't like running. I can ask a question. Do you like hiking? Do you like drawing? Do you like reading? We then looked at talking about these adverbs of frequency. So now we can say, I always go swimming. I never go running. I sometimes go to the movies. I usually go to the cafe. I often see my friends. Okay, these words are called adverbs of frequency. We can ask a question with how often, because we want to know always, sometimes, never. So how often do you go to the gym? How often does your family go on holiday? So lots of how often, and we know when we want to repeat the question to someone else, we could say, and how about you? Okay, so that's what we had until we come back after the break. So talking about our free time activities, our hobbies, what do we enjoy doing? And we know how to ask someone, not just say what we enjoy doing, but really ask someone as well. And we can talk about all different kinds of activities using the correct grammar, the correct verb to go with the correct activity. Okay, free time activities and hobbies. Okay, so that's all for now until